So the next speaker that we have with us is Sofia Salek de Braun. Sofia is a traffic ambassador with the PTV Group. And part of the reason why she's a traffic ambassador, traffic safety ambassador, is also a very personal story. And we'd like to hear from you, Sofia. And I hope your story will touch a chord and will change how we deal with traffic safety. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sofia, and I am Traffic Safety Ambassador by PTV Group. And I am very glad to meet you here today and to share with you my story and the work that I've been doing for road safety. And I would like to begin with a quote from Harry Potter, from the wise Dumbledore. He said, "While we may come from different places and speak in different tongues, our hearts beat as one." I think this is a very true and powerful quote. We may be different in many ways, but there is something that we humans have in common: our emotions and our feelings. We all have someone to love and to care about, which give us the need to protect them. And there is where my story begins, and many others. When we talk about road safety, we can approach it from different perspectives. And today I'm going to talk to you about road safety from an emotional point of view, from a woman's, and most of all, from a mother's perspective. Sharing with you the experience that changed my life, the life of my loved ones, and many other lives surrounding us. Originally, I come from Bolivia, South America, but have been living in Germany for 17 years. So almost all our vacations are dedicated to visit the family in Bolivia during Christmas, so that the kids and grandparents can have some quality time together. In 2015, we planned our vacation quite early to have more of this joyful anticipation. Coming closer to the travel date, exactly on the 22nd of September, my 5-year-old son, Luca, began to count down how many days he still have to sleep before seeing his grandparents in Bolivia. On the 11th of December, the awaited journey started, and on December 12th, we arrived in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. At the airport, the whole family was waiting for us. The picture behind me was taken at the moment of our arrival, a moment of complete happiness, full of kisses and hugs, and all these smiley faces, rejoicing from the happy moments that we had ahead of us. We walked to the car park, and the first question came: who is going with whom and in which car? So I went with my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, Catalina, with my parents, and my husband went with his parents and my son, Luca. When we arrived at my parents' house, I looked back, expecting to see them behind us, but I couldn't see them. So we went into the house, and a few minutes later, I asked if Gregor already arrived. And my brother answered, not yet, but maybe they have been stopped in the condo entrance control. So I walked to the entrance to see if they were there, but they weren't. And I walked back into my parents' house. Before I get in, I saw my brother coming out, agitated, talking on his phone. At that moment, I felt a prick on my heart, and I asked what was going on. He tried to evade my question, and I asked louder. Then he said there was a car crash and jumped into his car and drove off. Then I started running behind his car, not even knowing where he was going. When he drove out from the condo and turned left into the avenue, and I was still running behind his car, I realized the sound of the sirens on the other side of the street. And then I knew that something bad really happened. He stopped 200 meters ahead, and I could see the car crash of my parents-in-law. He tried to hold me so that I cannot see the scene, but I broke through and began to screen all the faces looking for my family. Then I saw a group of people that were surrounding someone, and this someone was my husband. I could barely recognize him because he was covered with blood and he had a huge hematoma on his head, so that I thought he lost his eye. And the first thing that I asked was, "Where is my son?" He tried to hold and cover me, and then I asked louder, "Where is my son?" I turned around and I saw Luca lying on the ground. I fell onto my knees, thinking, this is not happening, not to us. Then I tried to hold my child into my arms, and the emergency people didn't allow it until the homicide division arrived. So I decided to lie beside Luca on the floor. The rest of my family arrived into the scene, and my older brother asked who was driving the car that caused the accident, which actually was a 17-year-old boy driving in a very high speed, at a very high speed without driving license. He was driving at 170 kilometers per hour in a 50 kilometer per hour zone. But then I stood up and said to him, I don't want to know it. Nothing can change this situation. And I think that having killed 3 people and having to live with this in your conscience must be punishment enough. Then I lied again next to Luca. And I could see how the lifeless bodies of my parents-in-law were taken out of the car. It took more than an hour for the Homicide Commission to arrive and to do nothing besides saying that they have to take the body to the morgue. They wanted to put my child into the truck bed of a pickup truck. I didn't accept that, and the people around neither. So I took my child and I went into their car. When we arrived at the morgue, a place far outside the city, I was sitting on the floor of a terrace for 5 hours, holding my child into my arms and waiting for the autopsy to begin. I was trying to understand what just happened and how our lives had changed completely in only a few seconds. I thought on my daughter and how I am going to tell her what happened, so that she doesn't fall apart and she can continue to live her life. And then what can I do to help her to be happy again one day? Catalina was the second mother of Luca. She loves him more than anything. At that moment, I realized that the grief of my daughter was more important to me than my own. Then I thought about my husband, not even knowing if he was going to survive. And I said to me, I have lost my child, but he has lost his child and his parents. So I knew I cannot break down. I have to be there for them because I love them, and we need each other more than ever. During the wake, I had to make one of the most difficult decisions in my life. Can you imagine what it's like to leave home with all the illusion to spend the Christmas holidays with the whole family. And almost on the same day, far away from home, having to decide how and where to bury your 5-year-old child. Dealing with questions like, is this right to cremate his body or not? No, no one can imagine that, because it is against nature, because no parents should bury their child. When my husband left the hospital, he didn't talk much. One day I saw that he took a blank sheet of paper and began writing down everything that needed to be improved and changed in this country, so that something like this doesn't happen to another family. This was his way of helping us move forward. That is how the initiative to foster a culture of road safety in Bolivia was born, from the bottom of our hearts, on behalf of our loved ones. Back in Germany, one thing led to another. Step by step and from conversation to conversation, we had some great encounters with very special people, colleagues from PTV Group, who gave us strength and unconditional love, and always following the vision to foster a culture of road safety in Bolivia. Together with academia and other organizations, we developed a concrete plan and conducted the first road safety workshop in Bolivia in December 2016, with the aim to start a rethinking process in the mind of Bolivian people and to raise the awareness of the importance of road safety. It was the first time that all levels involved in road safety have met in a cooperative manner: the national, the regional, and the local government, the police, the universities, the civil society organizations, and the media. The challenge was to make them understand that road safety doesn't understand ideologies. That is one of the most serious problems of public health. And the aftermath that left traffic accidents poses a series of social, economical, and emotional consequences. The main message was, we must not wait for tragedies to happen in order to act. We must act before they happen. Road safety is a collective commitment and can only be improved if we work all together. As a very important result, a commitment covering the frame of required actions was signed by all the participants, and on that basis, we continue working with the Global Road Safety Facility, funds, and CAF to further improve road safety in Bolivia. Along this journey, I fell and stood up several times. I shed a lot of tears, and I had many sleepless nights. But I also had happy moments. Each time we reached a further goal within our impulse to move road safety forward in Bolivia. It requires a lot of energy to keep the ball rolling, but the motivation to save lives is bigger than the obstacles in my path. Life taught me a lot. I learned that the most important thing is to take action. It is not easy, particularly when you are connected emotionally, because when something fails, it affects you deeply. But one very wise person said to me, Sofia, by taking action, you are planting a seed. We don't know how long it will take for the plant to grow or flower. It may be a short or a long period, but the only thing that we know is that without a seed, a plant cannot exist. So every day, at every moment, we are in the position of being able to do the right things, and each of us can make a difference, no matter what the efforts are. If they go towards saving lives, each effort counts. What happened to my family can happen to anybody at any time. We all know that every day people die or are seriously injured in road traffic collisions. But we always seem to think that this only happens to others, far away, people we don't know. But it happened to us, and within seconds, our life changed completely. Road safety is a shared responsibility. It is mine, and it is yours. We all have a role to play, and we should take action for the fact that everyone who dies in a road crash is someone's relative, and there is no person who will not be missed. Thank you.